Welcome to the Burgundy and Gold Knuckleheads podcast. And I don't know if he's recovered or not, but you can already hear it in my voice. I haven't. It's my main man, Reggie. What's going on, Reg?
Well, I've recovered, man. I'm fully recovered. I used my vocal cords quite a bit, man. So they were already a little bit exercised. They got a little stretched,
Yeah.
on Sunday, but I'm good. I'm good to go, man. Fully recovered from the yelling and screaming. But I'm good. I'm good, brother. How are you?
Good. Yeah. I mean, we're 72 hours roughly past the end of the game. And man, I didn't just stress him. I think I did a little bit of some minor damage to him, man. But I'm not complaining. There's no pain. It's just crackly, squeaky, whatever it is, man.
Sound like if your vocal cords was hamstring, you'd be stretched. You'd be on the sideline right now.
Exactly. But either way, I'm still gonna keep going. Right? Can't get me off the field. Can't put me to the bench. But
can't stop, won't stop.
That's right. Hey, before we we're here to do the pregame for the upcoming New York Giants, but you're still enjoying the victory, aren't you? Don't lie. Every fan, we're normally they say give it 24 hours.
Wait a minute.
We're 72 hours. I'm still, if I watch a video, I'm still getting goosebumps. I'm still getting excited. I'm like, I can't watch it once. I got to watch it at least twice.
I love how, and I want people to know, I love how you asked me the question, then you told me that I'm lying. I didn't even get the answer out. You said don't lie.
Lying.
Don't lie.
Oh, don't lie now. That's right. It's a phrase. I'm not saying you're lying.
So to answer the question, no, man, I'm still living high on this whole thing, man. This is a big deal. And for anyone that is listening just because you support us, you're listening because you want some inside information, whatever listening reason you may be listening. First of all, we appreciate you listening. But if you're trying to understand why the hell we're celebrating about a middle of the season game or a game that took place days ago, you have to understand where we are now as a franchise, right? We have been through decades of losing. We finally have a situation where we're coming out of where we were losing for years, celebrating 7-9, 8-8 seasons. And here we are halfway through the season. We've won 6 games, right? And games like we had on Sunday, those things happen to us, not for us.
Correct.
And when you look at and you consider where this franchise is in what is essentially the first year of a rebuild, we look like we found our franchise quarterback. We look like we have a hell of a coaching staff. And within the first year of this new regime, the arrow is pointing toward a playoff run. People were comparing us in the offseason, questioning, could we be this year's Houston Texans? And through 8 weeks, the answer is yes.
Right.
And so for us to pull out a win at home in a big game, this wasn't just we're 4-7 and we happen to win a game. This game put us at 6-2. And when you look at the rest of our record over the next few weeks, even if we go, 6-2 with 8, so we get 9 more games. Even if we go 4-5,
right,
we're 10-7. And barring anything major happening to our team, meaning major injuries or major collapse, I don't think we go 4-5. But 4-5 still puts us at 10-6. 10-7. And I would have taken 10-7 in the first year of our rookie quarterback and a rebuild. And I would take that every day, all day. So that's why we're riding high on this, because this is a big deal for our fan base, our organization. And this just doesn't happen for us. And so that's why we're excited and happy. Now, come Sunday, no one's going to care. We're going to move on from it. But we're still a few days removed from it, and we haven't gotten to Sunday yet. Hell, we haven't even got to Thursday yet. The official NFL week hadn't started yet because it's not even Thursday. So we're gonna keep riding high. But that I just want to kind of share a little insight for anyone that might be a little, kind of like turning their nose up, like what that big deal is. It's just one game. It was more than just one game for our fans. So that's what's up.
And yeah, and this is something we might end up, continuing to talk about periodically throughout the rest of the season. This is a team that had 4 wins last year. Um, new new ownership, new GM, new coaching staff, new quarterback. About 60% of the players roughly are new. It might even be higher than that. So you got
It's a
new
rousing
players, new coaches, rookie quarterback, and the chances of putting everything together so well, just it's not that common,
it's
right?
quick,
You could say, oh, they're looking good. They're going to be something special in another year or two. Well, we're something special now,
right?
right? The game, and I'll use two games in particular. The Bears game and the first New York Giants game, we didn't play well. Those were games that last year, the year before, we definitely would have lost. Right? We walk
Absolutely,
out there going, man, we just shot ourselves in the foot. We shot ourselves in the foot and still
and
won.
still won.
Right?
Absolutely,
That's what playoff teams do. That's what high caliber quality teams do. Now, we're only doing that for a short time, so I don't know, how this is going to ride, but when you're doing those things regularly, that's what leads to the promise, not just winning. Um, and another thing, this year we are beating the teams that we're better than,
right.
right? The two games that we lost to at that time that we played them, those teams were better than us. If we play them in week 10, 11, 12, it might be something different as our team continues to grow. Clearly, our defense is getting better. And, and we said after the first few weeks, we don't need our offense. I'm sorry, we don't need our defense to be a top 5 defense. We needed to be slightly above average and
Mhm.
pair that with our offense. Man, that's trouble. That is trouble for other teams.
And then
Um,
I'll throw one more tidbit in there. That game also kept our home win streak. We won. We're 4-0 at home this season,
yep.
right? The 2 games we did lose, we lost on week 1 on the road in Tampa, and week, I don't know, 5 or 6 on the road in Baltimore.
Right. 6.
We
Yeah.
won all of our home. We won all of our home games. So it was a lot. There was a lot. There was a lot with that throw and catch by Jaden and Noah Brown. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but anyway, we move on
But
as
yeah.
best as we can.
And so we're moving forward to the Giants. We caught the Giants here at home week 2. Reggie and I were at that game. If you're a Commanders fan, that was the breakout of our unknown, just signed a few days prior kicker, Siebert. Right? It was a kick fest. I mentioned about not having your best game. That was a game when we kept on struggling in the red zone. Every time we were moving the ball up and down, get to the red zone and stall. I think, of the 6 field goals that we kicked, I think
I think
probably
6 out of 7.
4 or 5 were within the 25-yard line or closer, right? None of them were long field goals. None of them were 50-yarders. And again, it was moving the ball. I think, Washington, as they clear out the game from Chicago and focus ahead, I think they look forward to this game to show not only that they're better than the Giants, they're significantly better, and they didn't prove it as much as they wanted to in week 2. I think they're going to, hey, we left points. We're not doing it this week. And time will tell. But I mean, I think
Yeah,
that's the approach, right? As a coach, you have to get the team refocused this week with something after last week, right? Every week you need to find something to point at, something to trigger them, something, to hone in their focus, especially after a win like last week. Um, to me, that's one of the things that I would be doing is like, hey, we won the game, but we want to show them, who is the best in the NFC. We don't want to walk away with a field goal as the clock expires.
Right. And there's been a lot of talk about it. Washington has overcome a lot of things that has ailed this team in years past. If we beat a team that we weren't supposed to beat, then we turn around and lay the egg the following week.
Yep.
Check. We've not done that. There was the quote unquote, I never thought so, but there was this quote unquote curse of the black uniforms. We never won in the black uniform. Well, we won. Check. When we go on a road and on a primetime game, and then we have to play on a short week, will we perform? Check. Right. So all these things that this team has done. Well, you lose a game that you thought you should win against the Ravens. How would you come out against a team that you on paper is better than and you should beat in the Carolina Panthers? How do you do? Well, you beat them. Check. So the coaching staff has done a great job of keeping the team focused on the task at hand, 1 week at a time, if you will. And so former players, if you listen to some of the other podcasts with Logan and Fred and all those guys, they talk about it. And they said that, you have to be able to compartmentalize this and kind of move on from a game like this. But the team is strong enough with a lot of the veteran presence in there that can kind of keep the younger guys focused. And they talked about how, as a coach, you can coach a team when you lose, and it's harder to coach a team when you win. But they said when you have a game where you won, but you didn't look good doing it, it's one of the best ways to coach, because even though you won the game, because it's very hard to win in the league, if you win not playing your best, there's still things you can talk about getting better. And with the exception of the Hail Mary, there's a lot to be desired in that game. Even though they put up almost 500 yards of offense, there was all of the self-inflicted penalties that happened. And to your point, the driving into the red zones and unable to convert touchdowns when you get into the red zone. And so there are a lot of teaching moments in this game, from this game against the Bears. And Dan Quinn and the staff has proven that they have the ability to get the focus of the team. And I think they will be able to do so going up against the New York Giants, which, and oh, by the way, is a division game. And everyone knows a win in the division counts like a win and a half. And so I'm not concerned at this point, 9 weeks into the season, the type of coaching staff that we have, the veteran presence that we have on the team, and the type of players that we have on the entire team, that they'll be ready to play, at least from a focus standpoint, against the New York Giants.
Yeah. Here the Commanders are 6-2. That's the opposite of what the Giants are. The Giants are 2-6. Their 2 wins were against the Cleveland Browns and Seattle Seahawks. And both of those games were close games. They've just struggled all year long of getting anything done. Their defense is, for points allowed, is 16th in the NFL, and yards per game they are 21st. Daniel Jones, he has roughly the same amount of yards, not quite, but almost the same amount of yards as Jaden Daniels, but he's thrown the ball. I don't have it written down, but it's roughly 40 or 50 more passes. He's only got a 62.6 completion rate. Daniels, again, is over 70%, close to 72%. 6 TDs, 5 interceptions. That is not a ratio that is good for success in the NFL. And to me, as we look at this game and you base it off of what talent they have and what talent we saw in week 2, Um, contain Malik Neighbors, right? For those that didn't watch the first game or don't recall, he had 10 catches for 127 yards and a touchdown. And as I was watching it, it seemed like it was double that. He could not be stopped. It didn't matter who was on him, where he was going. He was just constantly getting open and making the catch. So, I need to, he's the player on their team. When he's out there, know where he is.
Yeah.
Obviously, the cornerback, the safety, you need to keep an eye looking a little bit that way. Never lose track of where he is.
And of the 10 catches that he had, the 11th catch that did not happen, that had he caught it, they may have won the game. Toward the very end of the game, there was a key drop by him on the sideline that I think would have either been a first or it was significant that by him missing it, it pretty much gave us a chance to go and win this game.
Correct.
So you're right. They have to be very mindful of where this kid is because he's essentially their offense. They don't have much more going on from an offensive side than Malik Neighbors. What's interesting about this game is this will be the first team that will see Jake Daniels and Cliff Kingsbury buried for the second time. Again, we mentioned about it being a division game. We've played the Giants, so this is the first one, and we've not played the Eagles or the Cowboys at this point. So this is the first crack by any team in the league thus far to be able to see what type of an adjustment will be made from the first go round that you played Jake Daniels. And so the question becomes, what do we do different? Does Cliff call a different game? What does Joe Witt do differently from a defensive standpoint, having seen those guys? Because you're right, we did not have an answer in week 2 for Malik Neighbors, and Daniel Jones made some plays. Now, the interesting thing is our defense is playing a lot better today than they were in week 2, but so is their defense. The issue with the New York Giants is really from the offensive side of the ball. The defense is still pretty good. Now, it's going to be interesting because I think Thibodeau is, injured or nicked up, and essentially there's Deontay Banks, the big mouth player that they have on their team, is somewhat in the doghouse. I don't think he's been playing well, and I think he was benched last week in their game, and that could be a benefit for Washington as well because 2 of their key players may not be very active on Sunday.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think you talk about how the differences of seeing them a second time. Well, in a lot of ways, from a Washington perspective, this is a totally different team than week 2. The playbook was still being spoon fed to Jaden, right? The plays that they were running and everything was as they say was very, very vanilla. Things have opened up. The formations, the plays that they're running, there's more passes that are deep. Remember the first couple games was a lot of short passes. Oh, and they throw one long. But now there's more mid-range and long passes that are opening up when they're available. And to your point, defensively, we're a lot better team, right? The first couple of weeks we weren't sure what defense we were. By no means are we a dominating defense, but we're a defense that makes you earn the points right now. And that's the minimum that you want your defense to be, right? Make them earn the points.
I think when we played them back then, we were like the 28th ranked defense, and now we are middle to upper part of the league. I meant to look up the stats and where we were defensively, but I heard that we are, I think, top 15 at this point statistically.
Yeah. I think we're 12 to 14, and that's significant difference, right? Being
Absolutely.
even mid 20s, even low 20s 22 versus 14, that's a significant difference in the NFL. And your offense is consistently a top five offense. You can say we're number one in points or yards or whatever. We're a top 5 or 6 offense. You throw in a top half defense. Again, when you're playing a 2-6 team, you should treat them like a 2-6 team, right?
Absolutely.
And so we'll see what happens this Sunday. But Washington may be able to take the fight out of them potentially early. But time will tell.
You think they take the fight out of them early, huh?
We'll see. We'll see.
Well, I do believe that if we don't have the red zone struggles that we had the first time and what we saw last week, then I truly believe that it will be an uphill battle for the Giants, which is essentially what they should have done to Chicago. If they converted 1 or 2 of those red zone trips, then it's a totally different game. So I do not believe that this is going to be a field goal fest. But if Washington plays the way Washington has been playing the past few weeks, then I do not believe that the Giants will be able to keep up offensively in this game. And I know we're getting ahead of ourselves here, but that's just what I believe. So jump out early, kind of put this game, make it one-dimensional for New York, and I think that Washington will be just fine.
Well, and this is where we saw we had a real good running game. It was the first week where all of a sudden Austin Eckler, we saw the difference that he makes on the team. We saw it a little bit week 1. Was he out week 1? But I remember it was against the Giants. All of a sudden we saw some plays, and I think maybe after the podcast you even commented, if it wasn't that week, it was a week after that. That's who we thought Gibson was going to be.
Yeah. Well, we know that was the game where he had the kickoff return call back.
On the opening kickoff, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yep.
But he had some plays out of the backfield where he was catching some passes and catching and going. I mean, there was another speed when he catches the ball compared to Gibson last year. Not the Gibson's not slow by any means, but there's a different taking off like a little dart when Eckler catches the ball out of the backfield.
Yeah, and Eckler's a pure running back, and we all know Gibson was converted to running back.
Right.
But I was listening to again another podcast. It may have been John Collins' podcast or Logan or someone, but there was talk about we didn't run the ball very much against Chicago, and so although the team was happy, including Brian Robinson, you could see that he was not John Cotton, but he was a little upset that we didn't run the ball. And Logan was mentioning that, sometimes it's just a flow of the game. There was a lot of 3 and out, so there wasn't a lot of long drives. And he mentioned that, run attempts typically comes from getting first downs. And during that game in Chicago, we didn't get a lot of first downs. So therefore you were getting second, third, and long. So you're not running the ball. And so the opportunities just wasn't there because in previous weeks, the run game has always been a part of our game. Right. And I think I saw a stat that, 52% of our plays are run plays. So they're running the ball.
Right.
And, but they didn't do a lot of it on Sunday. And so I do think that getting back to that and making a conscious effort to run the ball, and hopefully Jayton will be one more week removed from the injury he sustained to his ribs, and maybe he can get back to running the ball, because in that game against Chicago, he didn't do a whole lot of running for first downs. He did it out of necessity, but it wasn't a lot of design runs and those types of things. And so and he's a part of our run game. So you get Jayton running again, you get B-Rob and Eckler back to pounding the rock. That would be obviously a vital part to our offense on Sunday. The question remains on the left tackle. This is an aspect of the game you lose when you're watching it live, is that you don't realize sometimes who's in the game and who's not. And so I didn't realize that, we got Brandon Coleman with a concussion and Lucas with an ankle injury. And Lucas apparently left the stadium in a boot of some sort. It's not to say that he will be out, but certainly a guy walking in a boot, that's not great for specifically a guy who's a left tackle.
Right.
Dan Quinn mentioned in his presser today that Brandon Coleman was going to practice, which means he's trending upwards coming out of the concussion protocol. And so he may end up getting the majority of the snaps on Sunday, because I suspect that he'll probably play. And so we won't have that rotation that we've had all season. But I say all of that to say that getting your linemen back, gelling together, working together, will hopefully get the running game going against the Giants on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, to your point, mentioning the percentage, I know to your point, we were down on the run ratio, but I think all year we've been in the 54 to 56%. And maybe because of the Chicago game, it dropped it to 52 overall. But again, I've said it before. I said it as soon as Kingsbury was hired. It's a misconception that he doesn't run the ball. Where when he was in Arizona, they ran the ball more. They were just very dynamic with their passes, and they like to go downfield. And we see week to week a little bit more downfield, a little bit more. It's a balance, right? It's I don't care what coach you are, you want them to from the line of scrimmage to the end zone, you want them to defend, and from sideline to sideline. So if you're only throwing 5 yard, 3 yard, 2 yard passes, it brings everybody in. I want those safeties to have to sit back, 8 to 12 yards. Not everybody's within 5 to 7 yards, and we've seen that in the past.
Yeah. I again, man, I like our chances here, and I like where this thing is going. And I think that, excuse me, I think Washington seeing New York Giants the second time around, mentioning earlier that the concern would be what we would see, but we also get to see the New York Giants the second time around as well. And so I again, I feel like I'm jumping ahead here with some of my points that I'm trying to make here, but I think we'll be fine, man. I think we'll be fine on Sunday. I think there's some questions to be answered. How Washington bounced back from some of the things that went wrong in that game against Chicago, but I think they get a lot of those things correct, and I think we get back to being a little bit more of the team that we've seen the previous week. So.
I agree. Well, Reg, you got anything to cover, or is it that time?
Man, I think it's that time, Ken.
It's that time again. We know you like it. We know you love it. You know one thing I will say? As much as people like this, and we even go to the sports bar and people say, "What's your number? What's your number?" If you're listening to this and you're on Twitter with us, when you see something that we post, give us your number. Interact with us. Let us know where you are. Reggie, do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Doesn't matter.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, you okay? I'll go first then. Well, I've kind of tipped my hat a little bit here, just on some of the points that I made throughout this game. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll notice I'm wearing a little throwback Redskins hat. But significantly, it is a green colored hat. Green typically signifies money green. And I think this is pretty much a shoe in. I know we've had some troubles with the Giants in years past, but it's a new era. It's a new era, Ken. And the Giants are a mess. I know how division games can be, but I'm gonna say it again: the Giants, they are a mess. I think Dan Quinn, Cliff will get those guys going again. I think they make all the corrections to some things that did not go well for us this past Sunday against Chicago. I want to give some love to the defense. This is a different defense. Are they shut down defense? Not at all. But man, they pretty much was controlling the game against Chicago. Jake Daniels mentioned it several times. It was because of the defense that won in the game. All the talk is about the Hail Mary, but none of that was possible if the defense didn't hold the Chicago offense to 12 points, right? And make Caleb pretty much inefficient. And so they dominated the game a little bit defensively against a pretty good offense that was not with the lack of talent. I think the second time around, again, will benefit us just as much as it might benefit the Giants. But we are not the team they played in week 2. We're going to see our kicker, but I think he's going to be kicking extra points and not field goals. So with that being the case, man, with the Monday Green hat on today, I'm giving this an 8. I'm giving this win an 8.
Very good, very good. That's a strong number. A strong number there, Reg. I don't disagree with what you're saying. I think I really do look at this. I mean, we won the game, but I think this is not a revenge game because obviously we won. This is a show you. I'm going to show you how much better we are.
Okay.
You got us when we were just figuring things out. You gave us your best game when we were just figuring. We've kind of got things figured out a lot better now, and we're going to put it to you. The Commanders are, depending on where you're looking at, they're 3.5 to 4 point favorites.
I found that shocking, by the way.
I find that shocking as well. I would have thought that we were at least 6.5 point favorites. If you didn't want to give a full touchdown, I would think we were just at least minimum just short of that. To me, the only way I see us losing this game is turnovers. If all of a sudden we have a bad turnover game or big plays. They score a couple big touchdowns off of just a home run a couple times. But I don't see that happening enough consistently. Washington's going to put up points. I don't see the Giants hanging more than 20, and the Commanders are going to put it up. 28 might be a low number. And again, we're healthy. They're not. I know you mentioned about the at left tackle. I've got this at an 8.5, and that's a strong 8.5, right? I'm trying to keep it down because it could definitely, if I think about it too long, it might go up even higher. But I'm sitting at an 8.5, 3.5, 4 point favorite. Man, where's that bookie when I need it, right? Because I've been making some money this year with Washington. I forget what they are, but they're way above. Out of where are we at? We're at 8 games. I think they've covered 7 out of 8 games.
Okay.
So I don't know why it wouldn't be one more game, but my advice is for entertainment only. If we win by 1 off of some couple fluke plays or whatever, that's on you. But yeah, I wish I lived a little closer to Vegas this week.
Okay, so 8.5, man. I gave it an 8. Give it an 8.5, and yeah, I feel good about this game, man. This is again new era. I'm not scared of the Giants. I feel like we have a chance every week with number 5 on the center, and the Giants are just bad. I know, again, I know this is a division game, man, but given the way this team has been playing and the way the era is pointing up, we've been winning the games we're supposed to win, and this is another one of those games we're supposed to win. So I think we win this game and we come out of this, man, 7-2. So I'm 8, baby. Let's get it.
I like it. It's it's. I think we're both feeling pretty good. I think most fans are this week. The Giants fans, they don't want to see Washington, right? They're going to look at a couple games that they have coming up, maybe thinking, well, Washington's going to be an L, but after Washington, they get the Panthers. Like, all right, we'll try to get our next win against the Panthers. They know it's not happening against Washington.
Yeah,
so
yeah, that's what's up, man.
But
well, all right.
Let us know what you think. Reach out to us on social media. Burgundy Gold Knuckleheads on Twitter. You know how to find us.
That's it. That's where we at.
Until next week.
Until next time. Peace out.
Peace out, Knuckleheads.